Hello students, welcome to Medical 360. Every time there's an announcement in the parliament or by any politician of how many seats they've increased for MBBS in the country over the past many years, I start looking at data and say, no, this is now how it's supposed to be. And the reason is simple. One is to increase seats by sanctioning the private players to increase the number of seats or giving them more permission to establish more private medical colleges. Two is what is the investment that is done by the government of India or the state governments to increase the number of seats in government medical college seats so that the seats that are available now for the student community is more affordable, more accessible, and all students can actually participate in that. Because remember, every time when you actually increase the number of seats in the private medical college seats, what it simply means is that a lot of these seats are not affordable by 99% of India. Because the fee differential is very, very high. A government medical college seats will cost you 2-3 lakh rupees per annum, whereas the private medical college seats will cost you about 20-25 lakh rupees per annum, which means you're dealing with a 1.5-2 crore rupees kind of a total bill, which only 1% of India can actually afford, and most of India is deprived of actually even accessing that space. So every time when I look at this data, I actually say that listen, there needs to be more to be done by the governments, state governments and government of India to ensure that there are more medical seats that are available. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll actually be left with only rich people becoming doctors in this country because the poor people will have very restricted number of people, seats that are accessible to them. Let me explain to you through data. There was an announcement done by the government of India some time back, 2 years back, that every year they're going to increase about at least 10,000 medical seats in the country, which is a very, very good step to deal with. But I was expecting that because it's government of India which is announcing it, it will be the public exchequer which will be funding the creation of those number of seats. But it is not to be the case. Let me explain to you. By the way, a lot of students also have reached out to us. They wanted personalized counseling because NEET and counseling is the NMC cutoffs and the state counseling, the All India quota, the deemed universities. There are multiple entities that are dealing with. So if you want any personalized counseling, which is, by the way, it is a paid counseling from Career 360, you can reach out to us on this number, 8130-37-6334. Send us a message NEET and one of our counselors will call you up. If you please do subscribe to Medical 360 because we are creating a lot of content to help students like yourself decide based on objective data. So if you are at this point in time an MBBS aspirant, this is the channel to subscribe because we'll keep you informed on everything that's happening around as far as MBBS and anything to do with allied sciences is concerned. Now coming to the seats, we're talking of the seats and everything. We are comparing over the last 2 years, by the way, because the announcement by the government had happened around that time. In 2024, the government's medical college seats were 60,485. In 2026, which is in the current seat matrix that we saw, it is 66,046, which means about 5,561 seats were increased. 5,561. That's a 9.19% increase over the last 2 years, which essentially means we increased by about 4.5% year on year. But now look at the private seats, because remember they were talking about 20,000 seats increase. They increased about actually 21,939 seats over the 2 years, which means it's exceeded the target is what the government can claim legitimately. But 16,378 of those seats have come from private medical college seats. Only 5,561 seats have come from the government medical college seats. Which means, if you look at it, the percentage growth in government is 9.19%. The percentage growth in private is 28.6%. More importantly, if you look at it, the private medical college seats have grown by 3.11 times, right, as compared to government medical college seats. 3 point, it's more than three times the growth of what government medical college seats is. Now, this obviously is contributed by many states which have increased the number of seats dramatically in private as compared to public. And remember, the medical MBBS seat increase is a very, very, it's always marred by suspicion and it's a lot of taint around it because the cost of medical education is so high that only certain kind of people actually manage to get the permission and go through that route. So let me explain to you how some states have contributed in terms of this kind of a growth where private has far outstripped the government medical college seat expansion, because the government doesn't need to do anything when it's giving sanction for someone to establish a thing. And by the way, I repeat, it's also tainted to a certain extent. So let me explain to you how it happens. Now let me show you how the growth happened over the last 2 years at a state level. I talked to you about the all India level. Let me explain to you what happened at the state level. Let's look at Maharashtra for a moment. Maharashtra, in 2024, they had 6,025 seats in government medical college, which increased to 6,125 only, which means 100 seats increase is what you have. But in the private space, What was 5,820 in 2024 has gone up to 7,099, which is a 1,279 increase. So government medical college seats increased by just 100, whereas private medical college seats increased by 1,279. That's a 1,279%, or it increased by 13 times more than what you have in public. Now go down to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu it increased by 1,850 in private and only 149 in public. Again, a 12 times increase in private as compared to public. Look at this data, 5,399 in Tamil Nadu government, which increased to what was 5,250 has become 5,399. But in private, what was 6,800 has become 8,650. Same thing when you come to Rajasthan also, the 2,050 has become 3,600 in private. But public, when you look at it, what was 4,455 has become 4,600, which is a growth of 175 seats only. Private is 1,550. Kerala government is only 100 seats and private is 849. And if you keep going down, there are some states where the government seats have not increased at all. Over the 2 years, something like, for example, Gujarat, 75 seats have increased in government, but 500 seats in private. In the case of Uttar Pradesh, 225 seats in government, 1,550 seats in private. In the case of Telangana, 185 seats in government and 1,100 seats in private. Bihar, 190 seats in government, 1,100 seats in private is what the increase is. And when you look at this whole thing, Maharashtra increased by 13 times in private as compared to government. Tamil Nadu increased 12 times in private as compared to government. Rajasthan increased 9 times in private as compared to government. Kerala increased 8 times in government as private as compared to government, and so on and so forth. That's the journey that you're having. And by the way, because NMC is controlled by the government of India and there's a regulator that works on this whole space, it's always, even though the states want to increase, like there was a case sometime back from Tamil Nadu where they wanted to increase more government medical college seats and the center refused to give permission. That's because they said that you have more doctors as compared to the kind of population that you have. It's a challenge that you have, because here are some states who want to increase government medical college seats, but they're not increasing. But at the same time, some of the private players from the same state are able to increase the number of seats by getting sanction from NMC. So there are multiple challenges that we're dealing with here, but very clearly, what I see at this point in time, I've already shown you that private medical college seats have increased by 3 times as compared to public institutions. But some of these states, when you look at it, it is shameful, because up to this point in time, when you look at it, right from Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Telangana, Bihar, Karnataka, Jharkhand, all these are large states. In all these states, the number of seats that are increased in private is 3 times to 12 times more. 12 times more as compared to the increase that you have in the public medical colleges. And you should know that the fee is so high that there is no way that it is meant for everyone. The seat increase increasingly is happening for the rich people only, because when the fee is 20-25 lakh rupees per annum, very clearly only 1% of India can afford that. So this seat increase, what you see as this particular seat increase that you have in the private medical college seat, is not meant for entire India. It's meant for the 1% only. That genuinely, if you look at it in terms of seat expansion, this is the seat expansion that you saw, which the entire country can afford, and that is very minimal. And there also, even all kinds of people come in, but the number of the seat increase capacity is extremely limited. So the question that we should be asking the government of India, and for us as a nation, as India, is MBBS slowly but steadily becoming a profession only for the rich people, or does every Indian can they participate and partake in this process of creating more doctors in this country? This is a question that NMC, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the government of India and we as a nation must be responding to and answering, because this is not the way you increase the number of seats and say that we've given more opportunities and we increase this number of seats so much, because the seat increase is very disproportionate when you look at public versus private, and that's a question that we should be looking at very carefully. I hope this information makes you understand what is important for the country. Thank you so much. Namaste.